Chris, what is our fourth main topic today?
Our fourth topic comes from the Antagonistic Anonymous. Hey, crew. Game day!
Game day!
Today we are getting the main trailer for Ant-Man Quantumania, and hopefully with that, the tickets go live as well. One indication for me of that is that Fandango has now reported the runtime for the film at 2 hours and 5 minutes, making it the longest film of the Ant-Man trilogy. Along with a report by the Direct has suggested the film is also currently undergoing reshoots this close to film release, which is now starting to become a normal tradition for Marvel. So, John, my question is, does the runtime increase or decrease your hype for the movie? And are reshoots this close to the film concerning? Thanks.
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in. Now, as far as reshoots go, it's really unfortunate we still have to talk about this today because, look, there was a time, back in the olden days, there was a day and a time in Hollywood history when hearing the term reshoots was, like, disastrous. Because movies didn't do reshoots because that meant more money, more time, trying to get the logistically getting people back together, all that kind of stuff. It just was not done. And when it was done, that meant there was real problems with the movie. Even just going back as far as, say, the Brad Pitt movie World War Z, right? When we heard they had to go back and reshoot like 75% of the movie because it was a disaster, apparently. Now, the results ended up being very good. So the reboots were, or the reshoots were good. However, the era of Marvel changed all that. And Kevin Feige has talked many times about the fact that now when we shoot a Marvel movie, because we have the money, we plan our reshoots in advance. Because Kevin Feige says, unlike days gone by, where you sit in the editing room watching the dailies, it didn't matter if you're watching the dailies and came up with a better idea. Tough. You got to stick to your shooting schedule. You don't have the time, the budget, or the organization to go back in and implement this new idea. Or if you saw a little something that, I bet we could do that a little bit better. It didn't matter. The way Hollywood always was is too bad. You got the movie that you got. But Kevin Feige and Marvel started making so much money, they started planning this in advance where Kevin Feige could sit down and watch the dailies with the director and go, you know what? I just had an idea. What if we did this? Guess what? They've got the money that they can plan in advance to do that. So with this whole thing about like a couple of days of reshoots for Ant-Man, really all that tells me is that Kevin Feige had an idea or Peyton Reed had an idea and they thought, you know what? Yeah, we got time. Let's go shoot it. It's a great idea. Let's put it in. So honestly, yeah, the days of hearing about reshoots being a concern are gone. Today, it really, unless it's a smaller indie film because they don't have the big budget, today you hear about reshoots, it's just that, because that means they can afford to implement an idea they just had. That's really all that is. Now, let's get around to the main part of the story here, which is, according to Fandango, the runtime of Ant-Man 3 has now come out. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. So let's go back and look at a history. Let's just jump into the classroom, Campea classroom here for a second. So as we look at the first Ant-Man, it was one of the shorter MCU movies at 1 hour and 57 minutes. We move on to Ant-Man and the Wasp, or Ant-Man 2, and you see it go up by a whopping 60 seconds. So it went up to 1 hour and 58 minutes. By the way, I love the first Ant-Man movie. Passionately love that movie. I really quite like Ant-Man 2, not quite as much as Ant-Man 1. Well, according to Fandango, the runtime for Ant-Man 3 is a whopping 7 minutes longer, or 8 minutes longer than the original, 2 hours and 5 minutes. All right, so look, the reality is it's not much of a difference. This just tells me that Peyton Reed knows how to tell his stories, and he likes to tell them all killer, no filler, only have in there what needs to be in there to progress the story and to entertain the audience, and don't worry about the rest. And if his movies don't need to be longer than 2 hours, then don't make them longer than 2 hours. And I love that. I love that in him as a filmmaker. So look, but at the end of the day, the bottom line is a longer runtime or a shorter runtime does not equal quality or lack of quality. Right? I mean, we've had to go through it. Like, a movie being 3 hours long does not mean the movie is going to be bonkers good. A movie being 90 minutes does not mean it's going to be anything less than awesome. So a movie's runtime needs to be right for that particular movie. We've talked about it a million times. So it's nice to know we're getting 8 extra minutes than we did from the first Ant-Man, but honestly, it doesn't really much. But it is the longest Ant-Man movie we've had so far. Rob, You've heard about this. First of all, do you think there's any alarm bells that go off with the fact that they're doing some more pickup shooting? And then what do you think about the runtime of the film?
Well, one, no, there's no danger, and you put it best just now. These aren't reshoots, they're pickups, or they're additional photography. These Marvel movies have had that built in. You know, these big franchise properties, I heard it put once a long time ago, that everybody expects to capture that lightning in a bottle. Like you said, that's how it used to be. You had principal photography, and that was it. But on these, now in the digital realm, it's much easier to go out, because when you're dealing with photochemical processes and having to cut in that footage in a negative or something, that's tough. But in our digital world now, it's much easier to shoot things very close to release date and get them in. So it doesn't, they're pickups. Of course, you know that this is where they're putting the Fantastic Four in. I'm just kidding. Kidding. That's not true. I don't know anything. I'm just saying.
Can I just say something here? Let me run into the room and like Skeletor, drop a bomb and say goodbye, folks. I saw 2 images from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and my jaw dropped. I will tell you guys what it is after the show. I forgot to tell you before the show started today. I had 2 images sent to me of Ant-Man and the Wasp, and all I'm going to say is that my jaw hit the floor with these 2 images, and I will tell you what it was.
Okay.
Once we're off the show here.
But so I think that has become par for the course for these Marvel movies. And the thing is, when you're making these films and you have an interconnected universe like this, where every movie expands that universe a little bit more, when you see things that you can caress in and put things in to make them better, they're going to do it because they've got the production. They own Atlanta practically, so they can always go out. They always have a place to shoot.
Oh yeah,
they can always go do what they need to do. So to me, what this says to me is that Marvel really always keeps an eye on refining their product and making it better. Sometimes when they make things like I didn't dislike Thor: Love and Thunder, to me was conceptually not what I was interested in seeing. They went in that direction, but I'm sure that they did the same thing with that movie too. They refined these things till the 11th hour because they can. Peter Jackson did the same thing on the Lord of the Rings movies. Yeah. He pushed those movies to the very edge because he could. He owned all the. If they wanted to get a shot of Gandalf rearing back on Shadowfax, they go out in the parking lot, put up a green screen, get the horse, do it. Find somebody, put him in a wig. They would shoot it and cut it in. They literally did stuff like that, so they can do it. I think that this is an important film for them. They're making sure it's going to be the best it can be.
Chris, you hear about this? I mean, it is only an 8-minute difference as far as runtime, but do you think there's any significance to the runtime change? And do you think there's any significance to the pickup shots they're doing?
I really don't. I feel like it's just kind of making sure that the shots are what they need to be, or maybe including a character that we need to see in a post-credit scene, something of that nature. 8 minutes feels like something that is enough to be important, but not enough to change the game here as far as the actual content of this film goes. It just feels like it could mean something for the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I feel like maybe we're getting a longer fight, a cameo of some kind, some really, really great CGI work on something. Maybe we've got a longer shot of Kang existing in the quantum realm, you know. I don't think it's going to be something that's going to really shake us up, though. I think it's just Peyton doing what he needs to do to get this to be where it needs to be.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think tonight? Tonight, the new Ant-Man trailer drops.
Is that true? Do we know that for a fact?
Yep.
Yeah.
They're dropping it with the college football championship on tonight.
Right, that's
TCU, Georgia. Seen a lot of people driving in with Georgia license plates and Texas license plates. A lot of people coming to town because the championship game's being played out here. We're going to be talking about this trailer obviously tomorrow. But what do you think about these changes? Whether it's the time change, whether it's the pickup shots, anything for you that you think raises an issue? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. We want to thank one of the sponsors of this video, ExpressVPN. Guys, you ever hear of data brokers? They're the middlemen collecting and selling all those digital footprints you leave online. They can stitch together detailed profiles which include your browsing history, online searches, and location data. They then sell your profile off to a company who delivers you a targeted ad. No biggie, right? Well, you might be surprised to learn that these same data brokers are also selling your information to government agencies like the Department of Homeland Security and the IRS. And you you don't want the taxman showing up at your door because of some search you did on your phone. So mask your digital footprints and protect yourself with ExpressVPN. One of the easiest ways for brokers to aggregate data and tie it back to you is through your device's unique IP address, which also reveals information about your location. When you're connected to ExpressVPN, your IP address is hidden. That makes it much more difficult for data brokers to identify who you are. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of network traffic to keep your data safe from hackers on public Wi-Fi. So make sure your online activity and data is protected with the best VPN money can buy. Visit expressvpn.com/Campea right now and get 3 extra months free through my special link. That's expressvpn.com/Campea.